this position feels far too sensual, but I didn't bring my tripod. Hold on. Okay, well you can see most of me anyway, and hopefully I'm not too far away from the camera for you to be able to see me. I gotta bring my tripod next time. Jesus Christ. I needed to run some errands in town this morning, so I figured why not come to the park while I'm here, especially because it's not super sunny today, which means it's actually quiet for once. Other than the people boxing over there. Hopefully you can hear me, I should talk louder, and you can't hear them. But just in case, I'm gonna get even closer to you so you can hear me properly. Yeah, so I was running some errands this morning, that's all done now and sorted, and it's only like 9:30 in the morning, so doing great. I got myself a matcha as a reward as well, and a little blackberry and white chocolate bun, which I'm really excited for. And I've got some... this is so uncomfortable. I've given up, so I'm just gonna hold you for a bit, but basically I've been on deadlines at work for the last like 3 weeks. I did film a little like how I balance my writing with work deadlines vlog, but because I was on deadlines I don't think it's a very good vlog because I wasn't filming that much, so I don't know if that will actually see the light of day, but I'm done with deadlines now, and I've just been working a lot of hours and trying to continue writing throughout. And yesterday I had a really long day to get everything finished up, and the idea of running my errands this morning and then going straight back home to sit at my desk and write just did not sound appealing whatsoever. So we are out in the park, we are enjoying the not sunshine, and we are going to do a bit of reading and a bit of brainstorming. I had such a fun time hanging out with my friends last week, and I'm so happy that Katie got me a copy of her book. I have ordered a copy, but it's coming out in Europe on like the 11th of July, which is 1 month later than it came out in America, so I think it's actually the 6th of July at the minute, so I'm not getting my copy that I paid for another 5 days, but I've got Katie's one, and she also did a little signing for me. Whoops. And she included a couple of bits of merch, and I also have these really cool playing cards with all of her characters and all of the people in the 2 different teams. I'm so happy. It's always a little bit scary when you meet online people in person for the first time, especially online people I don't speak to that regularly anymore, but It was so much fun. Like, Skeek and Marlon I'd met before, but Grape and Katie I'd never met in person before. And it was just, we immediately clicked. They're so lovely. I had a great time hanging out with them. I am so happy and grateful that I live close to London and get to see people regularly that come by London to go somewhere else. Like, it's a very good spot for meeting online friends because lots of people go through London at some point or another. Other than showing you my very exciting and beautiful book merch, I want to give you a little bit of a writing update because I feel like we haven't really sat down to catch up yet in this video, and we should do that. Writing has been going a bit slowly recently. I've been on deadlines at work, which I have finally finished. So happy. We had a bit of a false finish situation where I thought I was done, but then I got involved with something else that also was kind of a deadline, and then I wasn't done. So there's been a lot of late nights, there's been a lot of stressful days at work, and there's been a lot of evenings where I came home and I just didn't want to work on my book in the slightest, like I was so tired. And part of what contributed to that as well is that I was actually stuck on a chapter. So I had 3 chapters left to go through in Act 1, and the first of those 3 is one that I needed to rewrite from scratch, and I've been stuck on that chapter for 2 weeks at this point. I finished it yesterday, but I've been stuck on it for 2 weeks before that. I was trying to accomplish a lot with this chapter. There was a lot of information for later in the series and later in the book that I needed to set up, while also introducing some character things, while also trying to make it not boring. I changed my mind on how to structure it multiple times. It's had very many passes at this point, but I think I'm finally happy with how it turned out. But because that chapter has been such a struggle recently, coming home from work and working on that chapter that was giving me so many problems just wasn't happening. I just could not bring up enough discipline to sit down and do that. So what I've been doing instead is, on the really bad days where I absolutely couldn't write this particular chapter, is I've been reading The Art of War, which is a military strategy book, which I'm trying to use as a little bit of research and like a brainstorming prompt to start gathering ideas for the 2nd and 3rd act in the book, as well as the 3rd book in the series. And that was something that I wanted to do anyway at the end of Act 1. I've just sort of been finishing up Act 1 and reading this book in parallel, as opposed to finishing Act 1 first and then trying to get into brainstorming. And that's been working fine, but I did feel like, especially this last week, I just hadn't touched the actual draft in basically since Tuesday, and I could really feel that when I sat down to write yesterday, and I was just like, I've completely forgotten what I've been doing. It was only 3 days, but I think I've gotten used to the consistency of writing every day now, which I've been trying to like unofficially do a little bit. I've been a bit quiet about it because I don't want to make a big deal out of the fact I'm writing every day, because that's just going to put a lot more pressure on me. But it's something that I've been kind of trying to do for a little while, and I kind of did that this week, but I wasn't writing, I was researching, so I was still counting it. But because I didn't touch the actual draft for 3 days, like, it was so obvious to me that I hadn't worked on it for a while. So that was interesting how that worked out. But it wasn't a big deal. I was able to push past that, and I finally finished the chapter. So exciting. And then this morning I was working on the other 2 chapters that only needed minor edits. And those didn't take very long to go through, so those are done, which means that Act 1 is officially done. It's a little bit later than I was hoping. I was really hoping to finish Act 1 at the end of June, so that I can then do like Act 2 during quarter 3 and Act 3 during quarter 4. That is a very confusing sentence, I apologize. But yeah, it's the 6th of July, so we're only 6 days behind my planned schedule, so we're good. I've been trying to decide how I want to tackle the next part of the process, really because of 2 reasons. When I first started planning out the revision process, I have some loose notes for the entire book, but I only re-outlined and restructured Act 1 in detail. I didn't do that for Act 2 and Act 3 yet, so that's gonna need to happen before I can get into Act 2. But also, while I was working on Act 1, I felt kind of unprepared, and I felt like I hadn't done enough of the work, enough of the brainstorming before jumping into the draft. So I told myself I was gonna do a better job with the 2nd act. But I don't really know what that entails at the minute. Like, I don't really know. I don't know where this draft is going. I feel very lost at the minute. But I think the main thing is I want to do another reread, because I reread the whole draft back in January, but I haven't read Act 2 and 3 since. So I think I need a bit of a freshen up, a reminder of what I'm working with before I make any plans. I'm probably gonna do the whole, like, Act 2 and Act 3 at the same time. I don't think it makes sense for me to just reread the second act at this point. And at the same time that I'm doing that, I want to continue reading my research book. And possibly try to read a craft book at some point. I started reading Save the Cat and then I gave up on it. But like maybe trying to read the Act 2 summary at least, even if I don't read the entire book, could be helpful. I don't know, like, every time I get stuck, I try and read Save the Cat, and every time I find it useless and give up. So I don't know if it's gonna help, but I gotta do something to get myself out of this, like, indecision, not knowing how to fix this situation. Yeah, I think just possibly doing the reread and then figuring it out from there. I've written books before. This is not that difficult. It's pretty difficult, but it is doable, and I am smart enough to fix the book. It's been a couple of weeks since I last talked to you, but for once the reason for that is actually a good one. But I've got a lot to talk about, so make yourself a drink if you want to. I have a cup of green tea with apple and pear flavor, and I am so happy and excited that it is actually cold enough. It's not cold, but it's like just cold enough that I can enjoy a warm drink. I love a warm drink. That's actually way too hot, but... So what has happened since I last talked to you? Well, first of all, I went through and I did the reread of Act 2 and Act 3, and I swear every time I reread this book, I realize it's not as bad as I remember. And I don't think I'm ever gonna get used to that feeling. I feel like in my brain I think, oh, if I read it I'm gonna realize it's worse than I think, but actually most of the time it's better than I think, so that's quite fun. Of course, even if it is better than I remember, it is far from perfect, and really the key parts that I have a problem with are not the characters, it's not the world building, it is not even like all of the plot, it is the parts of the plot that linking the series together. So anything in this book that is important for the next book is an absolute mess. Which makes complete sense, because I do not know what is happening in the next book. And that's a problem. So what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks is actually trying to force myself to sit down, force myself to think about it, and try and come up with an ending for the trilogy. And I just want to clarify what I mean by that, because the resolution of the book, the epilogue if you will, has been living in my brain for probably close to 2 years now. Not all the way since I started the series, but like it's been a long time since that's been in there, and like I actively daydream about it regularly, and I'm happy with it. Like I know that that's how I want the book to end. However, the climax of the final book, the actual how do we defeat the big bad guys, how do we get over this problem that we've been working our way up to for the last 3 books, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with that one, which is kind of the important one if you think about it, but alas. And the reason I have been putting off talking to you or doing a bit of an update is because I came up with an idea to finish the book and to write the climax. And it's not my first idea. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is like my 7th or 8th idea. And basically every time that I've come up with an idea before, after a few days I realize actually I don't like this. It doesn't feel very satisfying, it doesn't quite feel right. And I haven't been able to figure out why I don't like any of these endings, other than they all just feel dumb. And I didn't want to jump the gun and tell you that I figured out the ending when I knew that there was a very real possibility that I was gonna change my mind again. But it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since I came up with this idea, and I kinda love it. I wouldn't call it finished. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of little like mini Chekhov guns sort of pieces that I wanted to use, and some of them have not been used in this particular idea, but it's still my favorite idea out of everything I've come up with so far. And I think I like it enough that like I need to develop it more so that I can use some of these other pieces, and there's like bits to implement there. But it's a starting point, and this is the first time I've had a starting point. Every other time that I've sat down to brainstorm the final part of the final book, it's always been a, oh no, let's throw all of this other stuff away and start from scratch sort of situation. And this time we've got something to work from. And honestly, even though there's bits missing, I think I can do it. I think this is the first time in the past 9 years since I started writing this trilogy that I feel confident that I have the skills as a writer to end the trilogy in a way that doesn't suck. And that is such a great feeling, because this has been bothering me for literally years, and I think we figured it out. I'm so happy. I don't think I realized how much this was stressing me out until I figured it out, and it's like such a massive amount of relief. Like, I'm not going to disappoint my readers. I can give them a trilogy that ends in a satisfying way. I'm so happy. So I think what I want to keep doing for the next week and a bit, however long it takes, is continuing trying to figure this out, figuring out the 3rd book and how it will affect the 2nd book. And I obviously am not gonna spoil the ending, so I think I'm gonna do a lot of that work off camera from here on out. But I also think that I'm very close, and I will be seeing you soon for a vlog when I'm back to drafting, hopefully. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey and on my little revelation. I really hope that one day I'll be able to share the book with you and share my excitement for the book with you in a way that isn't just me telling you that I'm excited about it. I hope that you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon.